Today's project is about taking your car's infotainment system that might look a little dated and giving it a fresh look. So no matter what type of car you have, there are kits of all different shapes and sizes that will fit your car. Today we're installing on a 2011 Ford F-150. Now most of these kits are Android head units because they run Android as a back-end operating system, but they support Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. So you can run stuff solely on them, and then both from your phones as well, from either of your phones, no matter which type you have. And the package comes, like all of my packages from China, with orange tape all around the box for safety. Now let's look at what the kit comes with. In this kit, it's gonna be this 13.3-inch touchscreen. So it's gonna give it that kind of Tesla style on this old Ford F-150. And also it's gonna support some new features like panoramic 360 cameras for when you back up and things like that. All right, now depending on the car and the package that you buy, yours might look a little different, but in general, there's gonna be some sort of faceplate that you're gonna replace your existing dash kit with. For the F-150, I'm going to transfer over all the buttons for the HVAC and all of that sort of stuff in this range. And then this is where the screen is gonna mount, so you can kind of start to get an idea what that's gonna look like when it's in the car. And it looks like I've got basically 2 bags of stuff. So this first bag has all of the adapters that's gonna connect the head unit to the car, as well as the antennas for 4G and GPS antenna is right there. And the second bag looks like it's the cameras in these little protectors and the connectors so you can run them all the way around the truck and have that 360 pano view. Let's get to the truck to install it. All right, now that we are in the truck, the first step is to remove embarrassing Mickey Mouse and Frozen umbrellas so the internet doesn't make fun of you. All right guys, you're riding shotgun, and as you can see, we're in the truck. And this is the factory stereo. Pretty cool. I can start the truck up a little bit just so you can kind of see it, but it does have a screen. It did have the built-in navigation, but we're gonna make it even better. See, it's got nav, it's got radio. It's decent. It's not bad, but let's make it better. Oh, before we do that, this is also an awesome option. If anyone wants to do this without removing the center console part and some of the body panel parts, this is what I've been using for the last couple years. It's Carpuride is the brand. I'm sure they don't pronounce it like that. But basically it just sits right up here, mounts in, and runs into the auxiliary port on the truck. So you can have Apple CarPlay, you can have Android Auto without actually doing any demolition. I'll link to one of these things in the description. They actually have new versions now that are better and more beautiful in every way, but very cool. I've enjoyed it. Step 1, demolition. All right guys, you're gonna wanna shut the truck off. Some people disconnect the battery, but I like to live dangerously. And in this F-150, to pull out the factory head unit here, there are 2 screws under this little rubber mat. So first step, take the rubber mat off. Nope. They are 9/32 or whatever that equates to if it does in millimeters. And I'll put those in the cup holder so I don't lose them. Maybe. Wishful thinking. And sorry guys for the sound of rain outside. That's because it's raining. So now that those 2 are removed, I believe these 2 side panel pieces just pop off. Let's see if that's true. Oh, goodness gracious, maybe not. Now I'm gonna do this by trying to take as little bit of this dash apart as possible. Only the things I have to. So I know that this is sitting back in behind these side pieces just a little bit. So I'm hoping I can kind of just pull them out of the way here, kind of pop them out so I can get access to pull this whole head unit out. Let's try it. Okay, so just by pulling out the middle here, I start to pull off this little trim piece on the side. So it is holding it in. Let's give it a little tugboat. Well, I got another piece out along with it, but I think that should work. Let's try this side. Now let's see if this wiggles. Oh, it does wiggle. It comes out even. All right, plastic trim removal tools. Like I said, always go get the right tool. You guys are screaming at the camera, you gotta do it from the bottom, or whatever the secret passphrase is to get into this. It's coming out. Looks like if you just kind of shove something at the top in between these 2 panels, they will pop out. Look at that, I didn't even break anything. And that will give you access. Aha. So that comes out where your Microsoft Sync and your auxiliary port is. And there is one more bolt. Boy, that's on there. They have the Hulk putting together these things at Ford. He's a good employee, but he eats a lot. Now, it seems 100% free. Look at that. The only other thing that is connected are the hazards here and the traction control. That is one plug behind it. And you know how these work. You press in some tabs and then it comes out. Okay. One more plug for the HVAC controls down on the bottom right. There we go. And then boom! Look at that. It's in the new one. So it was very easy. I went inside and did it because air conditioning. But there's just screws all the way around the outside and then 6 screws in the middle to remove from your factory plate, and then you just screw it into this one. That's pretty simple. This didn't even have any screws. It's just got a couple little tabs on the side that you push in with a, I don't know, screwdriver or something, and it pops back into this one, moved from the top area to right about there. Honestly, the hardest part was putting in the cigarette lighter thing, because you got to pop off the little collar so it'll fit down in there and then slide the whole thing in, but that's no big deal. So everything is transferred over to the new one. Looks pretty decent. So now we're going to set that aside and pull out the old actual head unit part. Did my camera just stop? Oh well, you didn't miss much. I just pulled this CD player piece out as well, because I think we're going to have to. And there are a lot of wires on the back of this. It looks like it's got like a Sirius XM satellite antenna and a normal antenna and lots of other weird little things that I don't know what they are. So what I'm going to do is unplug them all. Problem solved. Look at all the stuff that was plugged into there. That's real nice. All right, so now we just got this big gaping hole with all the other wires that used to be plugged into the factory head unit. Going into the bag that has all of the goodies. This is a little CAN bus decoder that a lot of these things are gonna have. So let me zoom you in here. So this is the model that this one has, but basically it decodes the CAN bus, so all the signals coming from the car, so it can do things like, you know, steering wheel buttons, or it can know when you're going in reverse, that sort of stuff. All right, let's just see how these hook up. It's got a 4G antenna that it came with. It's the long skinny one, and the short fatty is the GPS antenna. As far as main harnesses, there's this guy, which definitely will plug into some of those things. I might just connect it up and see how many things are remaining. And then there's also these other two that appear, that appear to be aux-ins, preamp outs sort of situation. And this other one just has some video outputs and a pink wire. And did it come with instructions, you might ask? No. So let's just see. So this big one, obviously, is hooking up into big zone. Now this is where you flail around and you realize that nothing's lining up correctly and you get scared. But hey, look at that, I got another one. But don't get scared. It's probably just because there's some features on this that you're replacing, and so you might not need every plug. Oh, it appears that this CAN bus adapter has 2 plugs on it. Seems to fit into this wider, skinnier situation here. It also has a smaller plug, which seems to fit with that other one. So do we really have 2 things going to this? Why not? If it fits, it ships. All right, this GPS piece, I will probably have him stuck somewhere up in Meow. I mean, I can definitely hook it up and test it now. Let's go get the head unit, shall we? As far as specs with this unit, I'd recommend you always go with something that has at minimum 6 gigs of RAM, because if you've used Android systems with 2 gigs or 4 gigs, it gets a little iffy. This is an 8-core, 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs for storage, so pretty decent. And if you get these things on AliExpress or whatever, there's not much difference between the models, so you might as well just go big. I'm gonna see if I put the keys in, what happens. Boom. Okay, so we've got power to it, which is, I mean, already that's pretty awesome. That's like, what is this?
SISAR system.
Whoa. All the speakers are working. And this was already on there. That's fun. That's a little test video. How did they know my favorite song? All right, I brought you inside so you can see a bit better angle on what the back of this thing looks like when it's all assembled. So starting down here, the cigarette lighter I pulled out of the other faceplate. Same with all these controls. That's what we talked about earlier. And it's just these little star-headed Torx screws that lock them in place. Here's that little hazard light section, and it just clips in with those clips on the sides. And then for this, the tablet head unit itself mounts this little spacer piece. That part right there that lets it stick out away from the faceplate. And then that whole contraption mounts to the faceplate. Now, one thing that I have not found yet is there is a 5-volt fan, it looks like, on the back of this head unit that has a little positive and negative lead to power the fan. I have not found anything that fits this connector in any of the bundles of wires and stuff that they have given me. So for now, or maybe forever, I'm going to use one of the USB connections that normally you'd run out to power your phone or charge whatever. I'm going to plug it in there. There are two, so no big deal. I'll plug that in there and then use a donor USB cable to pull power off to power the fan. Okay, now we're back in the truck with the entirely assembled, oh boy, with the entirely assembled faceplate and head unit. So it's time to hook it up. All right, so now I'm just gonna do a little bit of pre-stuffing. I'm gonna stuff the USB cable down here so it comes out by the driver's side kick plate. Most of the other stuff is in its spot. The only thing else I need to do some stuffage on is I'm not going to be hooking up the full 360 camera in this video. So for right now, I'm just going to hook up the camera extensions and have them tucked under either the driver's side or the passenger side dash for the 2 side cameras, and that way I can run those later. And some general cord stuffing later. And this is going to be hard for you guys to see because I'm not going to do it one-handed, but I'm basically just re-plugging in all the things from the bottom. The HVAC stuff, all that jazz. Cool? Cool. Oh, wow. There she goes. Oh, wow. Whoa, that was weird. Do volume controls work on the steering wheel? Yes, they do. Check this out. Bloop, bloop, bloop. The hood's up because doing all this, I wanted to plug the battery in because it was dying. But yes, the volume controls for the steering wheel work. The next and back buttons work. The sub works. I just have to kind of get all of this popped back in so it's nice and flush. All right, guys, how does it look? Let's fade on over to the next day when I've got some shots of driving this thing around in the daytime. All right, here we are driving around, and in my opinion, this looks great. It had a customizable user interface so you could change different styles and stuff of the home screen, and I've switched it to this one because I like it. All right, looky here. You can tap this little icon and boom, you get that full Apple CarPlay experience. And it also supports Android Auto, so let's take a look at that. And now we're in Android Auto. I think overall, if you find one of these things for your vehicle at the right price, I would give it a shot. It's a lot cheaper than having something like this put in at your local car audio install place or whatever, and you can get a lot of bang for your buck in features. On a scale of 1 to 10 for difficulty, I give this type of thing a 6.5 to 7. I think it's maybe above average skill set, but in general, if you can pop some panels off, the rest of it's a bit plug and play. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching this video. I know it's a bit different from my normal content, but I thank you guys again for all of your support, and I'll link some relevant links in the description below. I'll catch you next time.